Welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak life, encouragement, and truth into the minds and hearts of educators and get you energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm going to share some thoughts on maintaining a positive, innovative attitude toward teaching among your grade level team without alienating your other coworkers. Visit truthforteachers.com to get the transcript and links to recommended resources or to share your thoughts on the show. So every couple of episodes, I like to answer a question that a listener has submitted. I call this the Ask Angela Anything segment. So you can submit a question of your own by going to truthforteachers.com. Just scroll down and you'll see a SpeakPipe box that says Start Recording. When you hit that button, it will record your question for me, and you can do it anonymously if you'd like. And then I'll include it on a future episode of the show and record an answer for you. If you don't want your voice on the podcast, I also have a Google form available, and you can just type your question in. So the question that I'm answering today was submitted by a Truth for Teachers listener named Deb. And she wrote this: I'm fortunate to work with 5 other wonderful third grade teachers. The issue we have as a grade level is that we're viewed as and mocked as the dream team because we're all extremely positive and we work well together. Our successful collaboration and positive attitude seems to be wedging a divide between us and other grade levels in the school. We see it as unfortunate and a sign of jealousy. Why not strive to learn and work together instead of mocking? Do you have any suggestions for this issue? Mind you, our team isn't perfect, but we are cohesive and evolving. Deb, you are not alone in this, unfortunately. I interact with a lot of positive, innovative teachers online, and this is a question that I hear from them all the time. Many of them just feel very isolated in their schools because their coworkers resent how well their team works together rather than appreciating them. So here are some things to consider as you work to build relationships with your coworkers who have felt alienated. First, I think it's important to make sure that you have a humble heart when you're talking about your team. You and your teammates should start by taking time to be reflective and be honest about your own behavior and your own heart attitude. Sometimes there's a subtle pride that surfaces without us realizing it, and we say or do things that we know are going to make other people jealous. I can recall one year when I had a great team and another coworker was complaining about her team. And she asked me, what do you do when your team gets into these kind of arguments? And I said, oh, our team doesn't really argue. We all get along. My statement was true, but my motive in saying it wasn't really pure. It was a braggy and dismissive response. I really regret responding to her that way. I could have told her, we haven't had that problem much this year, but I remember it happening in another school I taught at, and we used to work at it by doing this or by doing that. Or I could have said, that hasn't happened to us this year yet. I know it's really frustrating. I wonder if it would help if you tried this or tried that. So always try to be helpful and be humble when discussing your team, especially since you never know when the principal might split your team up and try to spread your positivity around the school. And the people you're bragging to now could end up being your teammates next year. It's also good to show appreciation and respect to other grade level teams. One of the things that successful teams do well is celebrate each other's success and build one another up. So do the same thing for teachers who aren't on your team and who need that support even more. So if the third grade team increases student benchmark scores really significantly one quarter, congratulate them publicly in a staff meeting. If the 5th grade team pulled off their annual overnight field trip without a hitch, make a big deal out of it in the teacher's lounge or ask for their tips on managing large groups of students off campus. Celebrate other teachers and teams when they innovate and experience success. The more that other teams are encouraged and praised, the more they bond together and the more they feel like a cohesive, functional unit. So have each person on your team keep an informal lookout for opportunities to appreciate a specific grade level, and then your team can work together to show them some love from time to time. Sometimes teachers resent colleagues who have a positive attitude because they feel like the positive colleague's classroom is perfect, or that the positive person views themselves as perfect, and they feel like no one else can compare. Your colleagues might not always want to hear about how you're doing so well and your class is so awesome, but it's really rare to have colleagues complain when they're complimented on the good things they're doing. So they don't mind the positivity as long as it's positivity about their own accomplishments. So put yourself in the position of a learner and ask other teams for advice. Every teacher has something they do really well, something that they can teach others. So think about the expertise and the experience that your colleagues have and ask them to share it. You might say, "Hey, I noticed your new bulletin board display in the hallway. Where'd you find that activity that you hung up? How did you get students to create such detailed responses?" Or, "My students are having a really tough time understanding fractions. Since you're going to have this class next year, can you give me any tips at all for helping them understand? What's the one fraction concept that you wish every student came to your grade level already knowing?" Or you could say, "I have a couple kids who aren't reading on grade level. Since you teach a younger grade than me, can you give me some strategies for helping them decode? Are there any websites or books that you really like for that topic?" So by asking these kinds of questions, you're not only going to learn ideas that will help you improve your teaching practice, you'll also develop a reputation for considering yourself an equal with your colleagues and as someone who's willing to admit that they don't have all the answers. It's also great to reach out to colleagues who express the desire to innovate with you. You've probably had some coworkers tell you that they wish they were on your team, or they wish they could pull off some of the cool activities you've done with your class. So do everything that you can to support those teachers in bringing a collaborative and innovative spirit to their own teams. For example, you might invite those teachers to plan with your team after school sometimes. Or if you email links and resources to your team, CC other teachers who might be interested. A word of warning here, don't continually extend yourself to the entire staff. So don't do that for everyone on the staff. Some people might see that as pushy or arrogant or kind of brown-nosing. Look for the positive, innovative educators on other teams and focus on them. They're the ones who want to hear from you and want to get your ideas, and they're the ones who will really benefit from them and collaborate with you. And of course, be your full, awesome, positive, innovative self when you share online. You are far from the only one who is not appreciated in their school. As they say, a prophet is without honor in his own land, right? Many innovative teachers feel like their ideas aren't valued where they work. And while it's important to influence the school culture to change this, it can be a really tough battle to fight. So I recommend limiting your time with negative coworkers who bring you down, and instead share your ideas on a blog or on social media. Upload your beautiful classroom pictures and activities to Pinterest, where other teachers will repin them and replicate the ideas. Or head over to Twitter, which is overflowing with innovative educators who would love to see and hear more about the awesome things you're doing. Join Twitter chat so you can talk about topics that interest you, or find Facebook groups where teachers share practical classroom ideas. I'd like to leave you with an anonymous motivational quote for the week ahead. Your takeaway truth is this: if you are humble, nothing can touch you, neither praise nor discouragement, because you know who you are. Stay humble, work hard, and be kind. You can do this. And remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it. Truth for Teachers is a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. For more great podcast recommendations, go to edupodcastnetwork.com. That's edupodcastnetwork.com.